Okay, so before going to learn the detail about thermodynamic, we should basically our investigation, our observation will be on system only. So we should know the detail, all the investigation, all the measurement, and the heat is transferred from one system to another system. Basically our observation will be on maximum on system. Okay, and you know the system is impossible without surrounding, and the system should be separated from the surrounding with a wall, with a boundary. Okay, now can you tell me something about boundary, please?
Yep. What's a boundary? A boundary is something which separates the system from the surrounding. Now there are different types of boundary. There are adiabatic, there are diathermic, there is fixed boundary, there's movable boundary. Let's just right here. Okay, so we have adiabatic and diathermic. Yep. There's also permeable. Yep, permeable and impermeable. Impermeable. There are fixed. So fixed and also movable. Also, there are real boundaries, which are real, and also imaginary boundaries.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that means, so the boundary may be adiabatic, the boundary may be diathermic, the boundary may be permeable, and the boundary may be impermeable, and the boundary may be fixed, and the boundary may be movable, and the boundary may be real, or the boundary may be imaginary. Right. So now let us understand more detail what's about adiabatic. So adiabatic means it is that boundary or that wall through which heat cannot be exchanged. Okay, and diathermic is that type of boundary through which heat energy can be exchanged. So sometimes mass may be, okay, even if it is boundary, mass cannot be. So if it is diathermic, heat can be exchanged, but yeah. So similarly, some boundary may be fixed and some boundary may be movable. For example, suppose if it is a container, and container, I mean, this is our system. So if it is completely closed, so this boundary may be what? Diathermic or adiabatic. If it is adiabatic, no heat exchange. If it is diathermic, heat can be exchanged. That means yes. So here heat can be exchanged, means the internal heat can be going outside or external heat can come inside if it is diathermic. If it is adiabatic, no heat can be exchanged. Next, if I am telling about fixed and movable, you can see this boundary is fixed boundary, and sometimes if I bring one piston, suppose if it is a piston, and this piston can move up and down. Okay, if it is moving up and down, this is what? Movable boundary. And the boundary may be real or the boundary may be imaginary. Okay, for example, suppose if I am taking my teacup. Okay, so this boundary is real boundary. Okay, but here this side we can say it is imaginary boundary. There is no boundary, but we can imagine this is separating from surrounding to the system if there is something for our investigation. So now this is the short detail about boundary, and let us learn more detail about the system.